Welcome to the Audit Ninja's Cyber Risk Management Plan for my company. Aligned with ISO 27005 and 27002 standards, we have analyzed our global network, identified critical vulnerabilities, and developed a practical, business-aligned roadmap to secure my company's digital future across all time zones.
Establish the context. Next, identify risks, analyze their impact, evaluate and prioritize, treat the risks, finally, accept the remaining risk.
Our agenda covers the 6 phases of the ISO 27005 process. We will establish context by defining our goals, identify risks across our assets, and analyze them by multiplying likelihood by impact. Then, we will evaluate these threats against our business appetite, apply treatment strategies like avoid, reduce, transfer, or accept, and finally, document the residual risks for formal acceptance.
At my company, global connectivity requires constant vigilance. Our Audit Ninja's internal audit division protects our massive network, ensuring security and compliance with absolute precision.
We are Audit Ninjas, my company's internal cyber audit team, appointed to conduct this comprehensive security assessment. Like ninjas, we are stealthy, agile, and proactive, identifying threats before they become incidents. Our forensic approach combines expertise in networks, DMZs, endpoints, and VPNs to protect the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of my company's critical systems, guided by ISO 27005 and ISO 27002. This is the executive summary. First, our scope covers the entire network. This includes the DMZ, VPN, and all endpoints, strictly following the ISO IEC 27005 and 27002 standards. Second, the assessment results, we identified a total of 17 risk vectors. Out of these, 5 are critical, 7 are high, 3 are medium, and 2 are low. This indicates that my company faces significant cyber exposure, requiring immediate attention. Third, our key recommendations are prioritized, reviewing firewall access control lists, hardening Wi-Fi encryption, deploying multi-factor authentication, isolating backups, and rolling out endpoint detection and response. Finally, management's decision is to treat all critical and high risks immediately, except low risks, with routine monitoring. This slide outlines our audit objectives. We aim to identify cybersecurity assets, threats, and vulnerabilities, and assess risks using a likelihood multiplied by impact scoring model. We then evaluate these risks against my company's risk appetite and recommend ISO IEC 27002 security controls. Ultimately, our audit supports management in prioritizing resources and making informed risk-based decisions.
Let's review the topology. We need to define the scope of this audit.
I'll map out the critical nodes. This section seems to be the priority.
Agreed, let's focus there.
Defining the scope is essential. This slide outlines what is included and excluded from our assessment. In scope are the firewall and perimeter, core network devices, VPN services, DMZ servers, web application and storage, endpoints, office devices, and the wireless network. Out of scope are physical security, cloud platforms, third-party systems, source code review, and financial or legal audits. This clear boundary ensures a focused and accurate assessment aligned with the network topology. This slide illustrates the 6-step ISO IEC 27005 risk management process used throughout our assessment. This structured approach ensures consistent risk management, audit traceability, and alignment with ISO IEC 27002 security controls. Now, let's introduce the organization under audit. My company. My company is a multinational organization operating in the information technology and business services industry. They employ a global workforce with significant work-from-home capability, meaning employees connect remotely via VPN from different time zones and locations. The key challenge is protecting critical systems across multiple time zones. If a system goes down, it impacts not just one office, but teams across the globe. This makes the availability and integrity of the network mission-critical.
The audit scope is comprehensive. It covers the full network, DMZ and VPN, down to all endpoints and data.
This is my company's network topology. Traffic flows from the external internet, the untrusted zone, through the external firewall, our first line of defense. The firewall controls access to the DMZ, which hosts the web server, application server, and storage server. These are semi-trusted systems that must be accessible to external users but are logically separated. From there, traffic passes through the main router and core switches into the internal network, where employees' laptops, desktop PCs, Wi-Fi routers, IP phones, and printers reside. Crucially, the VPN service allows work-from-home employees to securely access internal resources, creating an entry point that bypasses physical office security.
Confidentiality ensures that data is private. Integrity guarantees that data is trustworthy. Availability ensures data is accessible.
The CIA triad, confidentiality, integrity, and availability, guides our security objectives. Confidentiality protects sensitive data from unauthorized access or leakage. Integrity ensures data remains accurate and unmodified, safeguarding systems and business decisions. Availability ensures systems remain operational and accessible, even against threats like DDoS attacks, ransomware, or hardware failures. Every risk in this audit is evaluated against these three principles. To ensure an objective and consistent assessment, we score each risk using two factors: likelihood, rated from 1 to 5, and impact, also rated from 1 to 5. The risk score is calculated by multiplying likelihood by impact. This allows us to classify all 17 identified risks based on their business impact and prioritize the most critical threats for immediate action.
We classify risk into 3 levels. High risk requires immediate action. Medium risk requires constant monitoring. Low risk simply requires routine procedures.
Based on the calculated risk score, risks are classified into 4 levels. Low risk, with a score of 1 to 4, requires routine monitoring. Medium risk, scoring 5 to 9, should be reviewed and treated when appropriate. High risk, with a score of 10 to 16, requires mitigation and management oversight. Critical risk, scoring 17 to 25, requires immediate action and senior management attention. The risk matrix shows how likelihood and impact combine to determine each risk level, with high likelihood and high impact resulting in a critical risk.
All critical enterprise assets have been identified.
Identifying what we are protecting is fundamental. The external firewall and VPN service are classified as critical because they are our primary security perimeter and remote access gateway. The web server, application server, and storage server in the DMZ are also critical because they host customer-facing services and sensitive data. The corporate laptop and Wi-Fi router are high priority because they are user-facing entry points. The main router and core switches are high due to their role in network connectivity. Even the network printer, classified as medium, is important because it can be used as a pivot point by attackers. These assets support business continuity, internet-facing services, and work-from-home operations. Their protection is non-negotiable.
Every day, threats multiply. DDoS, phishing, and malware, evolving into ransomware, targeting your company.
Now, we identify the threats, the actors, and events that could harm our assets. We have categorized them into 3 groups: external threats, DDoS attacks targeting firewalls and VPN, SQL injection targeting the web server, firewall bypass via misconfiguration, web defacement, and brute force attacks. Internal and social threats, phishing targeting employees' laptops, insider threats and data exfiltration from the storage server, and credential theft. Network and wireless threats, malware and ransomware that can encrypt critical data, man-in-the-middle attacks on Wi-Fi, rogue device connections to switches, and VoIP attacks on IP phones. These threats originate from external adversaries, malicious insiders, and even negligent employees.
Critical vulnerabilities have been detected. Weak passwords and inactive multi-factor authentication, leaving core systems exposed.
Threats alone aren't dangerous. Vulnerabilities are what make them exploitable. Here are the first 7 vulnerabilities. Weak password policy means users reuse short or predictable passwords. No multi-factor authentication means stolen credentials are enough to access systems. Unpatched systems leave known exploits open. Open unnecessary ports increase the attack surface. Firewall misconfiguration allows unauthorized traffic into the DMZ. Poor network segmentation lets attackers move laterally after a breach. And weak Wi-Fi encryption allows unauthorized users to intercept or join the wireless network. Continuing with vulnerabilities, excessive user privileges mean users have more access than they need. Lack of security awareness means employees fall for phishing and unsafe links. Inadequate backup isolation allows ransomware to encrypt both live data and backups. Default device credentials give attackers easy access to printers and routers. Lack of endpoint protection means malware runs undetected. Weak logging and monitoring delays detection of attacks. And insecure remote access policy allows unmanaged devices to connect via VPN. The final set of vulnerabilities, outdated firmware on network devices, contains known security flaws. Lack of data loss prevention means sensitive data leaves undetected. Poor change management leads to unauthorized or incorrect configuration changes. No guest Wi-Fi separation allows guest devices to access internal resources. Permissive browser extension policy enables installation of unverified add-ons. And lack of print release pin means documents sit unprotected in output trays. These 20 vulnerabilities form the weak points that threats exploit. Risk scenarios combine an asset, a threat, and a vulnerability to describe a realistic security risk. For example, a storage server targeted by ransomware without backup isolation could lead to data encryption and extortion. A corporate laptop exposed to phishing without multi-factor authentication could result in VPN credential theft and a network breach. An unpatched web server vulnerable to SQL injection could expose back-end data. These scenarios provide practical, actionable risks directly linked to my company's network environment. This is the complete risk register, containing all 17 identified risks ranked by their risk scores. The highest priority risks are VPN credential theft, ransomware on storage, SQL injection, firewall misconfiguration, and privilege escalation, all classified as critical. High-risk issues include DDoS attacks, unauthorized Wi-Fi access, and malware infection. Medium risks include printer compromise and IP phone pivoting, while low risks include adware and non-sensitive printouts. Overall, we identified 5 critical, 7 high, 3 medium, and 2 low risks, providing a clear basis for prioritizing risk treatment.
We will now begin the risk evaluation phase. Let's plot the identified risk on the decision matrix. This requires us to escalate immediately.
This risk evaluation matrix visually plots each risk based on likelihood and impact. You can see our critical risks cluster in the top right corner: high likelihood and high impact. The high risks sit in the orange zone, medium risks in yellow, low risks in green. The matrix helps us understand why some risks are prioritized. For instance, even a medium risk can become critical if the business impact is severe. To summarize, top right red requires immediate treatment. These are our critical risks. Middle, orange-yellow, requires planned treatment, our high risks. Bottom left green requires routine monitoring, our low risks.
Let's review the top 5 cyber risks. Number 5, phishing campaigns. 4, ransomware. 3, cloud misconfiguration. And number 1, supply chain breaches.
This slide is critical to understanding our implementation strategy. You might notice that R004 VPN has the highest score of 25, but it is ranked as priority number 3. Why? Because implementing MFA for all VPN users takes 2 weeks and costs RM5,000. R007 Firewall is priority number 1 because it takes just 1 day, costs RM0, and drops a critical risk to medium. R009 Printer is priority number 2 because it takes 1 hour, costs RM0, and drops a medium risk to low. R011 Rogue Device and R005 Wi-Fi take 2 hours each, cost RM0, and reduce high risks to low or medium. We call these quick wins. They provide immediate risk reduction while we plan longer-term solutions for the mathematically highest scoring risks. This is practical, business-savvy risk management.
We can accept the risk, or we can choose to avoid it. We reduce or transfer it.
Before we dive into the deep dive treatments, let's review the 4 strategic options. Avoid. Eliminate the risk entirely by stopping the activity. For example, removing unnecessary open ports on the firewall. Reduce. Apply security controls to decrease likelihood or impact. This is our primary strategy. Examples include enforcing MFA, deploying EDR, and patching servers. Transfer. Shift the liability to a third party. This includes ISP/DDoS protection and cyber insurance. Accept. Acknowledge the residual risk, typically for low-impact risks like adware or non-sensitive printouts, where the cost of treatment exceeds the benefit. For most critical and high risks, we use reduce. For DDoS and ransomware, we combine reduce with transfer. Our first priority is R007, Firewall Misconfiguration. A misconfigured access control list on the external firewall can expose DMZ servers or administrative interfaces to the internet, making it a critical risk with a score of 20. To reduce this risk, we will review firewall rules, remove unnecessary access, apply a deny by default policy, implement change approval and backup configurations. This requires just 1 day with no additional cost, reducing the risk from critical to medium. Our second priority is R009, Network Printer Compromise. The printer still uses the default username and password, making it vulnerable to unauthorized access. An attacker could access print memory, retrieve sensitive documents, and use the printer as a pivot point for lateral movement. To reduce this risk, we will change the default credentials, update the firmware, restrict administrative access through network access control lists, and regularly clear the print spool memory. This takes about 1 hour with no additional cost, reducing the risk from medium to low. Our third priority is R004, VPN credential theft. A work-from-home employee could fall victim to a phishing attack and unknowingly disclose VPN credentials. Without multi-factor authentication, an attacker could gain direct access to the internal network. This is our highest-rated risk, with a score of 25. To reduce the risk, we will enforce multi-factor authentication for all VPN users, provide security awareness training and phishing simulations, and monitor VPN login activity. This implementation takes about 2 weeks at a cost of RM5,000, reducing the risk from critical to medium. Our fourth priority is R011, Rogue Device on the Core Switch. A visitor or contractor could connect a rogue device to an active network port. Without port security, the device could obtain an internal IP address and gain unauthorized access to the network. This is a high risk with a score of 12. To reduce the risk, we will disable unused switch ports, enable MAC-based port security, and implement 802.1x network access control where feasible. This takes about 2 hours with no additional cost, reducing the risk to low or medium. Our fifth priority is R005, unauthorized Wi-Fi access. An attacker near the office could exploit weak wireless encryption to intercept network traffic and steal sensitive information. This is a high risk with a score of 12, affecting the confidentiality of wireless communications. To reduce the risk, we will upgrade to WPA3 or strong WPA2 encryption, separate guest and corporate Wi-Fi, use a strong Wi-Fi password, and monitor wireless access logs. This takes about 2 hours with no additional cost, reducing the risk to low or medium. Let's summarize our Batch 1 quick wins. Number 1. R007 Firewall. Review ACLs and remove rules. 1 day, RM0, critical to medium. Number 2, R009 Printer, change default credentials. 1 hour, RM0, medium to low. Number 4, R011 Switch, disable unused ports. 2 hours, RM0, high to low/medium. Number 5, R005 Wi-Fi, upgrade encryption. 2 hours, RM0, high to low/medium. All 4 are implemented within the first week, providing immediate risk reduction at absolutely no cost. Moving to Batch 2 and 3, which require budget and planning. Batch 2 is the delayed VPN MFA rollout, R004, 2 weeks, RM5000, critical to medium. Batch 3 covers the remaining high risks over 1 to 3 months. R003, ransomware, EDR, and backup isolation, RM20000. R013, router, secure admin credentials, RM500. R006, insider, DLP implementation, RM15000. R012 mobile, MDM enforcement, RM500. R014 malware, EDR licenses, RM5000. R015 logging, CM setup, RM10000. Total batch 2 and 3 investment, approximately RM56,000. After this, all remaining critical and high risks are reduced to medium or lower. Batch 4 covers complex, long-term projects. R001 SQL injection requires rewriting legacy application code and deploying a web application firewall. This costs RM100,000 plus and takes 6 to 12 months. It's essential for securing our public-facing web server. R008 privilege escalation requires upgrading the operating system and re-architecting the application server, costing RM50,000 over 3 to 6 months. R002 DDoS requires negotiating an ISP-level protection contract, costing RM30,000 over 1 month. The key insight: while these long-term projects are underway, our environment is already significantly protected by the quick wins and batch 3 controls we implemented earlier. Now, let's address the remaining medium and low risks. R010, the IP phone, is formally accepted with the condition that we segment the VoIP network into its own VLAN to prevent pivoting. R016, adware on standard PCs, is accepted. It's a minor nuisance causing slowdowns but no data exposure. We manage it through routine antivirus scans. R017, non-sensitive printouts, is accepted. We simply enforce a clear desk policy to ensure meeting agendas aren't left in the printer tray. Remember, R009 printer and R011 rogue device were already fixed in our quick win batch.
We map identified risks directly to ISO 27002 controls. This ensures a comprehensive and compliant security posture.
To ensure global compliance, we mapped our critical risk treatments directly to ISO IEC 27002 to 2022 controls. For R004 VPN, we mapped to Control 8.5, Secure Authentication for MFA, 6.3, Awareness for Training, and 8.15, Logging for Monitoring. For R003, Ransomware, we use 8.7, Malware Protection, 8.13, Information Backup for isolated backups, and 8.22, Network Segregation. For R001, SQL Injection, we rely on 8.28, Secure Coding, and 8.20 network security via WAF. For R007 firewall, we apply 8.9 configuration management and 8.32 change management. And for R008 privilege escalation, we use 8.2 privileged access rights and 8.16 monitoring. For our high risks, the ISO 27002 mapping is equally straightforward. R005 Wi-Fi maps to 8.20 and 8.24 for encryption. R006 Insider maps to 5.15 and 8.12 for DLP. R013 Router maps to 8.5 and 8.9 for secure configuration. R014 Malware maps to 8.1 and 8.7 for endpoint protection. R015 Logging maps to 8.15 and 5.24 for incident detection. And R012 Mobile maps to 8.1 and 6.7 for remote working. Every single treatment is backed by an international standard. Before we show you the final results, let's quickly define residual risk. Residual risk is what remains after we apply our treatments. We can never eliminate 100% of cyber risk. Our goal is to reduce critical and high risks down to an acceptable medium or low level. The formula is inherent risk, treatment controls equals residual risk. For example, VPN credential theft was a critical risk scoring 25. After applying MFA and training, the residual risk is reduced to medium scoring 9. Here is our final residual risk acceptance register covering all 17 identified risks. All 5 critical risks, R004, R003, R001, R007, and R008, have been reduced to medium and are conditionally accepted, pending management approval and ongoing monitoring. All 7 high risks have been reduced to either medium or low. Importantly, our medium and low risks, R009, R010, R011, R016, and R017, are formally accepted with either routine monitoring or low-cost controls like VLAN segmentation. Crucially, there are 0 high or critical residual risks left. Every unacceptable risk has been treated. The key insight is clear. All critical and high risks eliminated. 100% risk reduction success. Before treatment, we had 5 critical and 7 high risks. After implementing our quick wins, short-term and long-term treatment plans, we have 0 critical and 0 high risks left. All risks are now at an acceptable medium or low level.
This looks solid. I'm approving the audit results.
Based on this analysis, Audit Ninjas issues this formal risk acceptance statement. My company accepts low residual risks with routine monitoring and accepts medium residual risks only with management approval, documented justification, and periodic review. High and critical residual risks are not accepted. We recommend formal sign-off from the CISO, IT operations manager, and system administrator to finalize this acceptance. To summarize, our top 8 recommendations are: 1. MFA for all VPN, our highest priority. 2. Isolate backups, immutable backups for the storage server. 3. Deploy EDR on all endpoints. 4. Review firewall rules. Remove unnecessary open ports. 5. Security awareness training, phishing simulations for all employees. 6. Centralized CM, improve detection capabilities. 7. Upgrade Wi-Fi to WPA3, block wireless interception. 8. Mobile device management, MDM, with remote wipe capability. These actions are prioritized, practical, and fully aligned with ISO standards. Here is the investment summary. Batch 1, quick wins. Firewall, printer, Wi-Fi, costs RM0, immediate implementation. Batch 2 and 3, short term. MFA, EDR, DLP, SIEM, costs RM56,000, planned within 1 to 3 months. Batch 4, long term. WAF, application rewrite, ISPD DOS, costs RM180,000 plus, planned within 6 to 12 months. The total estimated investment is RM236,000 plus. This is a balanced approach. Immediate zero-cost fixes reduce risk, while budget is allocated for long-term projects. This is our implementation roadmap at a glance. Week 1. We execute Batch 1 quick wins, firewall ACLs, printer hardening, and Wi-Fi encryption upgrades. Weeks 2 to 4. Batch 2, VPN MFA rollout and security awareness training. Months 1 to 3. Batch 3, EDR, DLP, CM, and MDM deployment. Months 6 to 12. Batch 4, WAF, application rewrite, and DDoS protection. The key insight: quick wins secure the perimeter immediately, while we architect complex solutions. This is our final conclusion. We identified 17 risks. All 5 critical and 7 high risks have been fully treated. All controls are mapped to ISO IEC 27002. Residual risks are accepted at low or medium levels. Our action plan is clear. Immediate, review firewall ACLs, change printer default passwords, and upgrade Wi-Fi encryption. Short term, enforce MFA for VPN, deploy EDR, isolate backups, and conduct security awareness training. Long term, deploy WAF, implement secure coding, implement CM, and DLP. My company's risk posture is now significantly improved. All unacceptable risks have been mitigated. We are confident that my company is now on a stronger security footing.
Your network is now fully secured. Audit completed successfully. ISO compliance has been achieved.
Thank you for your time today. Audit Ninjas has successfully completed a comprehensive cyber risk management plan for my company. We've identified 17 risks, treated all critical and high risks, and provided a clear roadmap for acceptance. Thank you.